Welcome back to our channel History Coins HD. As you that old is gold, but these rare Lincoln Wheat Penny coin that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1, where we turn ordinary pocket change into potential gold mines. If you love coins, history, and the thrill of discovering something truly rare, you're going to love what we have today. Because today, we're going back to the heart of American history, to the year 1944, to uncover the mysterious and extremely valuable Lincoln Wheat Penny minted in Denver, also known as the 1944 Wheat Penny. Now, before you rush off to check your old coin jars or grandma's keepsake drawer, make sure you watch this entire video. You might just discover that a simple penny could be worth more than a brand new car or even a house. Yes, it's that serious. Let's rewind the clock to 1944. The United States was still deeply involved in World War II. The economy was booming in some sectors due to wartime production, and rationing was a part of daily life. In the world of coinage, the U.S. Mint had made a drastic change just a year earlier in 1943, when pennies were struck from steel instead of copper due to the war effort. But in 1944, the Mint returned to using copper, recycling spent shell casings from the war to create new coins. Now here's where things get interesting. Most 1944 Lincoln Wheat Pennies were made from this recycled wartime brass. But every once in a while, something unusual happened at the Mint. Mistakes were made. Errors, anomalies, and rare variants slipped through quality control. And that's where the magic begins. The 1944 Wheat Penny, minted in Denver, was one of the most widely circulated coins of that year. But among the millions struck, a tiny handful stand out, and they're not just rare, they're valuable beyond belief. So why is this particular coin so special? It all comes down to errors and condition. In the world of coin collecting, a simple flaw like a misstrike, wrong metal composition, or even an off-center image can turn a common coin into a collector's dream. Some of the rarest 1944 pennies were mistakenly struck on steel planchets left over from 1943. These coins shouldn't exist, but somehow, they do. Imagine that, a penny that looks like it belongs in 1943, but with a 1944 date and a D mint mark. Just a few of these have ever been discovered, making them incredibly sought after. Even among regular copper 1944 pennies, finding one in flawless, uncirculated condition is becoming harder and harder as time goes on. Most were used and abused in everyday transactions, worn down through decades of use. But if you find one that has remained in mint condition, carefully preserved and without damage, it could be a serious payday. Collectors and numismatists are constantly on the hunt for the finest examples of this penny. They look for details like sharp edges, strong design features, and zero signs of wear. And if your coin happens to be one of those ultra-rare errors, or it's in near-perfect shape, you're not just holding a piece of history, you're holding a small fortune. You might be wondering, how much could this little penny actually be worth? I mean, we're talking about a 1-cent coin here, right? It's small, lightweight, and easily overlooked. But what if I told you that one of these rare 1944 Lincoln Wheat Pennies, because of its rarity, historical importance, and pristine condition, was once valued at over $105,000? That's right. 1 cent, now worth over $105,000. So next time you're sifting through old coins, remember, never underestimate the power of a penny. It could change your life. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss another hidden gem. There's a whole world of rare coins out there waiting to be discovered, and we'll be right here to help you find them. Top 2, we're talking about the Lincoln Wheat Penny from 1953. And before you think, it's just a penny, think again. Because hidden among those copper-colored coins may be a rare gem worth a fortune. Picture this, a small coin minted decades ago, passed through the hands of everyday Americans, dropped in vending machines, tucked into pockets, and maybe even buried in the couch cushions. But what if I told you that one of these pennies could be the key to unlocking a small fortune? Stay with me, because the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny has a story that could surprise even the most seasoned collectors. Let's take a step back in time. The year is 1953. Dwight D. Eisenhower is president. America is in the midst of post-war prosperity. Rock and roll is just beginning to stir in jukeboxes, and across the country, pennies were clinking into piggy banks and soda fountains alike. That same year, the U.S. Mint continued producing the familiar Lincoln Wheat Penny, a design that had been in circulation since 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. Now, millions of these 1953 wheat pennies were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. On the surface, they might all look the same: Lincoln's profile on the front, two simple wheat stalks on the back. But as seasoned collectors know, sometimes it's what you don't immediately see that makes a coin extraordinary. What makes certain 1953 Lincoln wheat pennies stand out from the rest? It all comes down to rarity, errors, and condition. Some of these pennies were struck with minor, but extremely valuable, mistakes. We're talking about double die outbursts, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, and even pennies that were accidentally struck on the wrong metal planchets. These minting errors are what turn a regular coin into something truly rare, but that's not all. Even without an error, the value of a 1953 Lincoln wheat penny can skyrocket if it's found in mint state, meaning it looks just as fresh as the day it rolled off the press. No scratches, no wear, crisp detail. These coins are incredibly rare because most were used in daily life. Few people thought to preserve pennies in perfect condition, and even fewer kept them in protective cases. Now here's the exciting part. Over the years, some 1953 Lincoln wheat pennies have turned up in pristine, untouched condition, and when they do, collectors go wild. The coin becomes not just a piece of currency, but a piece of American history, frozen in time and preserved like a museum artifact. If you're lucky enough to stumble upon one of these rare examples, especially with a visible mint error or in a grade of MS67 or higher, you could be sitting on a coin worth more than just bragging rights. It's the kind of coin you send off to be professionally graded. The kind you protect in a sealed case. The kind that could pay for a brand new car or more. So how much could a single 1953 Lincoln wheat penny be worth? Get ready, because you might not believe it. A rare version of this penny, perfectly preserved and packed with collector appeal, has been valued at as much as $90,000. Yes, you heard that right. $90,000. All from one penny. So the next time you come across a handful of old coins, don't just toss the pennies aside. Take a closer look. Examine the date. Check for errors. And if you spot a 1953 wheat penny, hold on tight, it could be the best discovery of your life. Top 3, because we're about to dive into a small coin with a big secret, the 1950 Lincoln wheat penny. This little piece of copper may look like the most ordinary coin you've ever seen, but under the right conditions, it could be worth a staggering amount. So don't go anywhere, because today we're going to explore the hidden value behind one of the most intriguing pennies ever minted in the United States. Let's start with a little background. The Lincoln wheat penny has been one of America's most beloved coins since its debut in 1909, when it was created to celebrate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. The design features his iconic profile on the front and two simple wheat stalks on the back, hence the nickname Wheat Penny. Over the years, it has become a classic among collectors, not just for its design but for the historical moments it represents. Fast forward to 1950. The world is recovering from the Second World War. The United States is booming with innovation and industry. And during this time, the Denver Mint was busy producing millions of Lincoln wheat pennies marked with the small letter D just below the date. While most people back then would have never thought twice about tossing one into a gum machine or sliding one into a piggy bank, a few of those coins were destined for something greater, because here's the thing: when it comes to coins, rarity doesn't always mean how many were made. Sometimes, it's about how many survived in near-perfect condition. Or better yet, how many were made with a mistake that slipped past the mint's quality control. And that's exactly where the 1950 wheat penny becomes something truly special. You see, even though the Denver Mint produced over 334 million of these pennies, only a small number have been discovered with mint errors like repunched mint marks, die cracks, and off-center strikes. These mistakes are incredibly rare, and collectors absolutely love them. They turn an ordinary penny into a one-of-a-kind collectible. And even more fascinating? Some 1950 wheat pennies have survived all these decades in pristine, uncirculated condition, free from wear, untouched by time. That's where things get exciting, because if you're lucky enough to find one of these 1950 Lincoln wheat pennies with a rare error, or in flawless mint state condition, especially one that's been professionally graded as MS67 or higher, then you're not just holding onto a coin. You're holding a historical artifact. A financial time capsule. A treasure that could make a serious impact on your bank account. Collectors from around the world are constantly on the hunt for that one perfect penny. They're willing to pay top dollar for specimens that are sharp in detail, have rich original luster, and show no signs of handling or damage. And while the average 1950 penny in circulated condition might be worth just a few cents or a couple of dollars, the rarest and most pristine examples are in an entirely different league. So, the question everyone wants to know: what's the top value ever recorded for a 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny? Well, get ready for it. Because one of these humble little copper coins, in a condition so flawless it nearly glows, and with rarity so profound it makes collectors' hearts race, has been valued at up to $95,000. That's right. $95,000. For a single penny. So, the next time you come across a jar of old coins, or you're digging through an inherited collection, don't skip over the pennies. Look closely at the date. Check for that little D mint mark. Examine the surface. Because you just might be holding a tiny treasure with a very big price tag. Top 4, where we uncover the hidden value in what most people would call spare change. We're going to take a closer look at a small but mighty piece of American coinage, the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny. And now, I know what you might be thinking: it's just an old penny. But here's the thing: some of the most valuable coins in the world are the ones people never paid much attention to. And the 1957 Wheat Penny is one of those coins that might be quietly sitting in your collection, your coin jar, or even your pocket change, without you ever knowing what it could be worth. Let's go back to the year 1957. The United States was full of optimism. The economy was strong, families were buying their first televisions, and rock and roll was taking over the airwaves. In the world of money, the U.S. Mint was still producing the beloved Lincoln Wheat Penny, a design that had been around since 1909. These pennies were simple, iconic, and everywhere, used daily by millions of Americans. The 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny was minted in huge numbers, both in Philadelphia and Denver. Most people would assume that with so many produced, they couldn't possibly be worth much today. But here's where the story takes a surprising twist. Because not all 1957 wheat pennies are created equal. While many were spent, lost, or worn down by decades of circulation, a very small number were preserved, kept in mint condition, untouched by time. And even fewer were struck with rare mint errors that make collectors go absolutely wild. That's where the value starts to climb, and climb fast. So, what exactly makes one of these ordinary-looking pennies so incredibly valuable? It comes down to a few key factors: rarity, condition, and errors. First, condition. If a 1957 wheat penny has survived in uncirculated, mint state condition with no scratches, wear, or fading, it instantly becomes more appealing to collectors. A coin that looks just as sharp and shiny as the day it left the mint is rare and can command serious attention. Next, mint errors. Some of the most valuable 1957 pennies have striking mistakes, things like double dies, off-center strikes, or repunched mint marks. These errors weren't meant to happen. They're the result of brief mistakes during the minting process, and only a tiny number of them ever escaped the mint and made it into circulation. Now imagine this: a 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a rare mint error and in near-perfect condition. That combination is like winning the coin collector's lottery. When such a coin is discovered and sent off to be professionally graded, let's say at a grade of MS-67 or higher, it becomes a serious prize, attracting the attention of dealers, collectors, and auction houses across the country. Many people overlook their old coins, assuming they're not worth much. But stories continue to surface of people finding incredibly valuable pennies in family collections, garage sales, and even in their pocket change. That's why it's so important to check those old coins closely. What you think is just another wheat penny could actually be something much, much more. And now, let's get to the part you've been waiting for. Just how much could one of these 1957 Lincoln Wheat Pennies be worth if it checks all the right boxes: rare error, mint state condition, and collector demand? Well, one of these rare 1957 wheat pennies, in pristine condition and with exceptional qualities, has been valued at up to $85,000. That's right. $85,000. For a single penny. So, before you toss that old coin aside or let it collect dust in a drawer, take a second look. Because your 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny might just be the hidden treasure you never knew you had. Top 5. We're talking about the humble but historic 1949 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin that might just be sitting unnoticed in your collection or pocket, hiding a secret that could change your life. Now, we all know the saying, don't judge a book by its cover. Well, the same rule applies to coins. What looks like an everyday, beat-up old penny might actually be one of the rarest pieces of American coinage from the mid-20th century. The 1949 wheat penny is one of those coins that proves appearances can be deceiving. Let's take a step back and set the stage. The year is 1949. World War II is in the rearview mirror, and the United States is entering a new era of growth, rebuilding, and innovation. In homes across America, televisions are becoming common, jazz and swing fill the airwaves, and the economy is booming. During this time, the U.S. Mint continued producing the iconic Lincoln Wheat Penny, which had already been in circulation for 40 years. The design of the penny was the same beloved version that Americans had come to know and trust: President Lincoln's side profile on the front, and those two classic wheat stalks on the reverse. But while the design remained unchanged, something unexpected slipped into circulation in 1949. And it's what gives this year's penny its extraordinary value. You see, millions of 1949 Lincoln Wheat Pennies were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Most of them were used and spent like any other coin, lost in drawers, worn down through years of circulation, and eventually forgotten. But among them, a tiny number were struck with minting errors or preserved in such pristine condition that they became incredibly rare over time. Now here's where things get interesting. Some of these pennies were accidentally struck on planchets meant for other coins. Others have double die features, off-center strikes, or repunched mint marks. These rare variants can make collectors go wild, especially when the coin has sharp details, deep luster, and no signs of wear. Then there's the matter of condition. The vast majority of 1949 wheat pennies have seen decades of use, passed through countless hands, scratched, faded, and worn. But the rarest finds are those that were never circulated. Kept in mint condition. Protected and preserved. These are the kinds of coins that collectors dream about. And when one of these surfaces, especially with a unique error, it's a game changer. You might be wondering, how could one little penny be worth so much? And the answer lies in supply, demand, and pure chance. Very few of these rare 1949 Lincoln Wheat Pennies exist today. When they show up at auctions or are discovered in old collections, they're often the centerpiece, the highlight that everyone is watching. Professional coin grading services evaluate them, giving them scores based on their preservation and rarity. And the coins that receive the highest grades, those that are nearly flawless and show off even the tiniest details in the design, can command enormous attention and value. So, if you happen to come across a 1949 Lincoln Wheat Penny, take a closer look. Check for unusual details. Examine the condition. Because you just might be holding a piece of history that's far more valuable than you think. Now, let's get to the moment you've been waiting for. One of the rarest 1949 Lincoln Wheat Pennies ever discovered, in nearly perfect mint state condition and showcasing rare error characteristics, has been valued at up to $100,000. Yes, you heard that right. $100,000. For a single penny. So the next time you're sifting through old coins, don't overlook the wheat pennies. That little coin from 1949 might just be your golden ticket. If you enjoyed this video and want to explore more hidden treasures from American coinage, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a single discovery. There's a world of wealth hiding in plain sight, and we're here to help you find it. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy hunting.